A white couple pointed guns at demonstrators in St. Louis who were protesting the mayor's decision to dox her own residents who support defunding the police. So this happened in an upscale gated community. It's Central West End neighborhood. And it all started when the mayor, Linda Crewson, decided to do a Facebook video, which has now been taken down, where she read letters that had been sent to her by people who want to defund the police. Now, she shared the names of these individuals and also their addresses. So that, of course, made some of the demonstrators upset, and they wanted to protest in front of the mayor's home. So the group of at least 500 people was heading toward Mayor Linda Crewson's home, chanting, "Resign, Linda, take the cops with you." Resignation demands come after a Facebook Live briefing on Friday, where she had read the names and addresses of several residents who wrote letters to the mayor suggesting to defund the police. Now, since she lives in this gated community, the protesters needed to break through a gate to the gated community in order to get to her home. And as they were walking by this one giant mansion, they were met with the armed residents of that mansion. We have a video, which I'm sure many of you have already seen, but for those of you who haven't, here are the two personal injury attorneys who live in this neighborhood brandishing weapons. So Cenk, it's important to note that the protesters weren't there for them. They were there for the mayor. And as you can see, they just wanted to walk by as quickly as possible because of the fact that they were carrying those weapons. Now, I've seen some people on the right argue that the couple has the right to defend themselves and defend their property. But based on how Missouri law is written, even though they live in this gated community, they are not allowed to just brandish their weapons outside of their home like that. That's not considered protected self-defense. They have to be in their home. There needs to be a threat. And as you can see in that video, those protesters did not serve as a threat to them. They served a threat to the protesters. And in various still images of what happened, you can see the woman in that video with her hand on the trigger. And that is terrifying because someone could have really gotten hurt there.
Yeah, and he has a safety off. So even conservatives were criticizing their gun safety. So although now it's important to note, Donald Trump retweeted this. And I'm pretty sure he didn't retweet it saying, hey, can you believe that these guys are doing this to the protesters and the protesters were perfectly peaceful? No, Trump retweeted that thinking, go get him, Brooks brother Ken and trigger finger Karen. Like I saw this video and picture and thought it was the most absurd thing I have ever seen. This guy with a semi-automatic weapon in his khakis, their bare feet, they're nuts. They got mustard stains all over the shirt, at least Karen does. And I thought it's just so sad. And Trump looked at it and thought, yeah, go get him. Look, by the way, this is the perfect picture. This is America 2020, right? Both in its comedy and its tragedy. So you how many times did we tell you about pitchforks, right? Now, in this case, the protesters are perfectly peaceful, but here the people are in front of their McMansions, bring out their weaponry, McMansion, America, weaponry, America, protesters, America, white rich people pointing their weapons carelessly at black people, America. So this is not the America that I want, but it's the America that exists right now in 2020. And now let me give you, by the way, it was Colonel Mustard in front of the yard with a handgun. So except this is not Clue, it's Clueless. So let me give you context as to where their house was, how did folks get in, what does it mean that it's private property? So yes, it is a gated community. Yes, it is private. Yes, even the streets are private there. And a lot of people are asking, how do we have private streets in America? It's a good question. I don't know if the residents paid for all that or if the government paid for any portion of that. I don't know. The gate was busted. No one knows how it was busted, but it is a logical assumption that at least the gate was a casualty as the protesters walked in to go to the mayor's house, not their house, right? Okay, and I did see the McMansion is the first house. I'm sorry, I keep calling it a McMansion. It's apparently a Renaissance palazzo-style home, I do declare, okay? And they even have one of those knights in armor that in the old days, when people stormed mansions like this, the residents would literally hide in the armor, okay? So they could have chosen to do that. They even had it available for them. It's like a safe room of body armor, right? But they didn't do that. They grabbed their weapons and ran out. So they, of course, were like out of a movie. They're like, oh, we could have been killed, throats cut. And we're sure we saw weapons. There were no weapons. No weapons at all. No one's ever reported any weapons, by the protesters at least. And so their house is up first, so I can see why they would have been a little bit more alarmed. But don't bring out heavy weaponry when you don't see any weaponry, and they weren't coming for you, and they didn't say anything about you. They were going to do you know that the mayor lives down the street? Obviously, the protesters are going to the mayor's house, which they went to and protested peacefully there as well. But the last thing, guys, is this whole going to each other's houses, it's gonna end very, very poorly, whether you're right wing or left wing. So I kind of hate it, to be honest. And so I wish we wouldn't go to anybody's house anymore. It's a disaster waiting to happen, especially in America.
Yeah, well, fish rots from the head down, and anyone in any type of leadership position shouldn't be doxing private citizens who they disagree with, which is exactly what the mayor did in this case. By the way, I want to give you the take from Matt Gaetz, a Republican lawmaker who has totally spun this in, honestly, it's complete comedy. He says, in Joe Biden's America, your job is illegal. You are locked in your home. Borders don't exist. MS-13 lives next door, and the police aren't coming when the mob arrives. This is all of us. And then he posts the picture of the couple pointing their weapons at demonstrators. Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Look, this is Republican 101, fear mongering of rich white people. Oh my God, the blacks are coming. The blacks are coming. And so it's the least surprising thing in the world that Matt Gaetz said that. He then went on to say, I also have pets of different colors. I do. I mean, they're not in my house. But they're they're friends / helpers / assistants / local pets, but still. Anyways, now back to this case, Missouri. This is what the St. Louis mayor did in doxing the protesters in the first place. You have to know the context of it. It's really important, and it's actually unreal outrageous. After Ferguson, 6 different protesters that were clearly visible in the protests, including one that was throwing a tear gas canister back at the cops, have been killed, have been found dead. Some of them in violent and mysterious ways. This is the Washington Post. This is no joke. This is absolutely real. And there's been death threats to almost all the prominent protesters. One of the leading organizers was a reverend. They put a snake in his car. And other leading organizers, Cori Bush, who's actually a Justice Democrat in an election right now, they shot a bullet through her window, almost hit her 13-year-old daughter, and have threatened her life repeatedly. So we don't know who they are, but there is some sort of insane. There appears to be. We're not sure. So the 2 of the protesters were shot in the head and then burned, and then their bodies burned in their car. So this is very mysterious, very crazy, okay? And it's definitely happening in St. Louis. We don't know who or if anyone is doing it. But in that context, for the St. Louis mayor with potential right-wing vigilante murderers out there to dox the protesters, the black protesters, is beyond insane. She should resign immediately. I don't want people going to her house, but I also don't want her sending implicitly vigilantes to protesters' house, especially in that city. No, one of the most outrageous things I've ever seen. Obviously, there's something very wrong in St. Louis.
Don't miss your chance to win a trip to Los Angeles and have dinner with Cenk, Anna, and me. Just head to tyt.com/dinner in LA to register to win. Sign up for a free Aspiration Spend and Save account. Register your eligibility. Swipe your Aspiration card on daily purchases to gain entries to win a chance to fly to LA and have dinner with the TYT hosts. Not only are you entering to win that dinner in LA with Cenk and Anna and myself, but you're also able to deposit your hard-earned money without it going towards fossil fuel exploration or production. And as a friendly reminder, even if you already have an Aspiration account, you must still first register to be eligible for the sweepstakes.